Hi, welcome to my quadratic equation video. First, let's define quadratic equation. A quadratic equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, usually set equal to 0. For example, 3x squared plus 2x minus 7, where a is equal to 3, b is equal to 2, and c is equal to negative 7. Not to be confused with other degree trinomials such as 6x cubed plus 3x minus 9. This is a third degree trinomial, and quadratic equation is a second degree trinomial. It is best to use the discriminant to get some information about your quadratic equation before you factor it. So here's your discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. Now, if you plugged in the numbers and figured out and your answer is negative, that basically means it has no real solution. Your solution will have an I in it. In other words, you'll end up with a negative square root. If you end up with the answer 0, that means you only have one real solution. If you end up with a positive answer, it means you have two real solutions. And if your answer is not a perfect square, then you will need to use quadratic formula, which is negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And you've got half of your work done here anyway. If your answer happens to be a perfect square, then factoring works. So let's go ahead and see how to do the factoring. The procedure is to factor the front end, and I got two factors out of it, and the last term. And it is a little bit of a trial and error. So I'm going to try a few. Let me guess 6x and x for the front, and let me guess 2 and a 1. We can try and make another one. Keep 6x, x, and let's trade 1 and a 2. We can try 3x and x as a factor, 2 and a 1. And we can try keeping the front one, 1 and a 2. Let's try these, and if they don't work, then we will try something else. So once we have arranged a few things like this, and of course, remember, we can also trade 3x and x as well, so there's plenty of possibilities here. So the idea is to multiply the inner and multiply the outer and see if you can make a negative 7x. So 2x and 6x will not make me negative 7. 2 plus 6 is 8, and the difference between them is 4. So that's not going to help me. 1x and 12x is not going to help me make a negative 7. That's not helpful to me. 2x and 3x is not going to help me get a negative 7 because 2 plus 3 is 5 and the difference is 1. That's not very helpful. 1x and 6x is indeed helpful. So I want to think about this one a little bit seriously here. 1x, and this is 6x. How do I make a negative 7? By putting a negative here and a negative here. Because that's the only way I can get a negative 1x here. And the last term multiplied to give negative 6. So my final answer is this one. Let's try another. 45x squared, let's try 9 and a 5. And I have 4 and a 2, 8 and a 1. Let's make a few. Let's go 9x, 5x, and let's try 8, 1, 9x, 1, 5x, 8. We can try 9x, 4 here, 5x and a 2, we can say 9x, and you can trade this to 5x, 4. And if you can think of a few more, you can write that down, but let's start working with this. If I multiplied 5 and a 4, that gives me 20. 9 and a 2 gives me 18. Between 20 and 18, I can never make 31x. So that's not my answer. 5 times 2 is 10. 9 times 4 is 36. So between 36 and 10, I can never make a 31. If you add, you'll get 46. If you subtract, you'll get 26. So that's not very helpful. 5 eighths are 40, and 9 times 1 is 9. So can I possibly make a 31 out of 40 and a 9? Well, if I subtracted, yes, I can. So this is a good one. 5 ones are 5, and 9 times 8 is 72. I don't think I can possibly make 31 out of 5 and 72. So that doesn't look good. The first one looks really good. So how do I make a negative 31? By putting a minus here and a plus here. So this gets a plus, and this one gets a minus, and that's my answer. Even though there's a lot of trial and error, and I have actually picked rather difficult examples to show how procedure works, it saves a lot of time thinking about two numbers that will multiply to give the last term, and then you have a number here, and it gets a little difficult. There are other methods such as a T-chart or a diamond, but for the larger numbers, this method works because you really are dealing with small numbers. And secondly, in the event that you are not given this middle number and you are given the factored form, you can figure this out. Let's say I did not give you 31. Let's say you did not know this number here. 31 was not given. But what you did know, 9 minus 8 and 5 plus 1. You could figure out 31 by using this system. Multiply the inner, multiply the outside, combine them, and indeed you will get that term. So there are a couple of advantages in using this method. Very good. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.